Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here to do another episode of Movie Director Simulator again. Because it usually seems like everybody consistently enjoys these things, no matter how sporadically I do get to them. Because I have so many other new things introduced into said channel that eventually just gets to a point where I forget about this consistently because usually the time that it takes to get every one of these episodes done, as I would usually say, probably every one of these videos. So, yeah, we're gonna get into this. Hopefully, I am kind of wondering because there's probably been times before where I probably asked this same question. I'm kind of wondering about editing this. Well, not really editing. Really kind of pausing something and coming up with the movie that I'm eventually going to use. Kind of going through the instead of seeing all the movies, figuring out without a doubt which one I should go with and what have you. It'd probably just be a lot easier to eventually just once I do come up with a script, pause said thing here and then find the right script and then play again and then be able to get a video done a little bit quicker than normal. But I don't know. It seems like there is a quasi amount of people that watch these things, and so reasonably they can come up with a consensus or an answer, or are just happy with what I'm doing regardless of how I do it. So yeah, yeah, for anybody who is gonna want to leave a comment down below to give me an answer of how they want this thing run, I will follow that to the letter and what have you. Action 18 plus. That sounds good, but I don't know. I kind of want to break away from adventure or horror. I think I've done that way too often on this show. But if anything, again, any of these episodes, if you guys want me to do a certain kind of genre, if you guys want me to do even a certain kind of name as an actor that sounds something probably much more beneficial than I would ever actually put up on here, go ahead and jot down in the comments below. Um, Not goating out comments or anything like that. I just want if people want to have a input in what I do and what have you, you can. You will. You sure well can. For people asking me, it's like, well, I just want this to continue. I just want it to be done every day or every other day or whatever way that, what have you. Yeah, that would be great if I could do this. If I could do this all the time, it's just fitting it into the schedule because these usually tend to run long. No matter if I cut them or whatever, it just goes really long. So and this one's at like the back end of my day. Um, for today, so like timing wise, I gotta figure out what the heck to do with this to where I can get it done in a quicker fashion. Maybe only doing one movie and doing that. Um, and in turn, doing that might be much more successful. Um, it might be longer videos if I've been doing it the way I've been doing. God, why? Why can't I find something that works? 18 Detective. Let's go with that. Let's choose that. 18 Detective. I don't do detective things that often, so seemingly, unless I probably did it in the very last episode. um yeah, I don't remember cuz my life becomes a blur at some points, but I really wanted to just pick a movie and it seems like it was taking me forever to do so, so I was just like detective movies sounds great. Yeah, I'm putting a boatload of points into music evidently. All right. So, let's have one character. His name is going to be God. Names at this point. I've done so many. Uh, Carmen. Carman. No, Carmen. Or Carmen. Carmen. Copeland. Collins? Carmen Collins? Carmen. Carmen Copeland? Copeland? Sure. Conland. Yeah, Conland. That sounds good. That. Carmen Conlon. Carmen Conlon. Man, somebody's gonna have to really quickly probably not say this entire person's whole entire name. Carmen Conklin. I can barely even say it once. By an invitation of the head of a large legal concern, Carmen, a young lawyer, comes to New York. Before that, he was known for defending on scandalous and defending only scoundrels, and moreover, he didn't lose a single loss. This is the Keanu Reeves movie Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino. He didn't lose a single process at a new job. He is quite happy. He lives a luxurious apartment with a loving wife. Yeah, this is Devil's Advocate. But unexpectedly, he starts being surrounded by interesting people. Oh, wow. So they don't even get to the devil part? You don't even get to the devil part in that? They just say interesting people. A goofy way about going about doing that. Come on. You could have said Al Pacino's the devil. You could have said Al Pacino's the devil. It would have been okay. All right. He is an ordinary construction worker who lives in a small apartment in a seedy district of the future city somewhere in New Asia. What the is this? The need for new, exciting impressions lead him to the office of the company. Remember, all. Oh yeah, this is Total Recall. I did this once before. Yeah, I remember what the heck that was going on there. I was like, New Asia sounds familiar. Come on. A murdered wife. This is Fugitive. That is a bad script. The life of a former government agent named Carmen collapses when he is accused of a murder he did not commit. Pursued by a experienced police inspector, Miles tries to track down the real killer. I am quasi confused of what the heck that even was. That sounded like that Kevin Costner movie, like 3 Days to Kill or whatever the heck that was, where he would be so ill and still try to kill people. It was ridiculous. I'm already not liking the air marshal thing. Carmen, an air marshal who ensures the safety of passengers, receives messages with threats from a terrorist maniac. The offer calculated all the moves and framed him under the this is that one Liam Neeson movie. God, come on, give me. USA after the Civil War. No. Some bounty hunter story. Come on. Oh, come on. No, this is the same thing that I just read. This is the same old dance and song and loving and luxurious and driving and wielding and cum laude, magnum cum laude. I already did this story before. A popular radio broadcaster. I just did this one like in the episode before this. Oh god, and I made it very creepy-esque, and it was really fun. A life of a former government agent named collapses. He collapses. Is a student in the prestigious University Oxford, where suddenly a whole series of mystery murders takes place. He begins his own investigation, discovering more and more Curious Alleys in the famous universe. Okay, I just wanted to see if this might could quite possibly be any good. And I don't know. I don't think it is. I don't think there's a solid. I might have to freaking write my own goddamn script. This is so bad. Uh, the habitual life of a friendly team of federals is violated by a terrible tragedy. The daughter of a already I'm just a boatload of right now. The film takes place in 1895 in London. A detective named Carmen is approached by a certain Thomas Recolley. He saw his wife in an old wedding dress and was very surprised. He soon learned that she committed suicide in just a few hours before this strange meeting. It turns out that he saw the ghost of his wife, and even worse, the ghost of Miss Ricoletti wanders through the streets, unable to quench his thirst for revenge. Okay, in a roundabout way, in a very odd, obscure, roundabout way, there is something here, but not in any way that it's written on here. I think there is something here that doesn't feel here, that feels weird, and what have you, and I don't have any clue of what the heck is even going on in this story, so we're gonna somehow in a roundabout way go about doing this. The film takes place in a year where I was actually alive and kicking in, not 1895. Let's go with okay, let's go with 1995. Let's actually try that out for size. The film takes place in 1995 in London. A detective named Carmen sees his wife murdered when coming home from work. They hold the funeral, they hold all this, they hold yada yada yada. 10 a decade passes. A decade passes. So 10 years has passed since that incident. And Carmen is a private detective. Private detective. Still trying to solve his wife's murder. Murder. So 10 years later, this guy is still munching on the same case. One like if anybody is coming up with clues or could figure out what happened of how this guy's wife died. Nobody wants to come up with answers. Nobody wants to figure out what the heck is going on. And ultimately, ultimately, um, he or Carmen has been at the Carmen is a alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. He's a cop on the edge. Watch out, everybody. He's scary. Carmen is a drunk. Addict of everything. Of basically everything. And while walking through the streets, sees a woman that looks just like his wife. He chases after her, calls out her name, even touches her, and she gets away. So this guy ultimately has been begrudgingly trying to solve this case for a decade now, and it's going nowhere, to the point where he's so self-destructive, so self-whatever, and eventually he sees his wife just kind of walking around in the street like nothing ever happened. And so he goes and grabs her and wants her attention, because it's like, oh my god, you're my wife. Oh my god, what happened? And then eventually when he goes to tell people later on, like, hey, I seen her. I saw her face. I saw her walking around town. Like, yeah, like, she's alive. She's whatever. Why is it that nobody actually ever defined her as being, and like, how is she still alive? I don't get this. And more, we eventually will see that maybe this guy was much more darker than we first assumed. Because really, there's a reason why this actually opens up with the death of his wife and him feeling bad about it. And maybe there is an ultimate reason that isn't presented in before the first scene, that is presented much later, for why this guy had his wife supposedly disappear, to the point of him digging up her grave to be sure that she is dead or not, because it is a part of his investigation to confirm her death, and what have you. This. And then eventually this guy continues to track this girl down, meeting her coincidentally, because he goes back to all the places that she's ever loved, because he knew so much about her. And then eventually towards the end we find out what actually happens to why this girl ran away, and we weren't sure of what it was before until the end of the movie. Um, God, I don't know what to call this though. It's gonna be tough. Um, we could easily call it Runaway Bride, but that sounds stupid. Uh, yeah, because the first impression of this guy is that he's a good, solid guy, and he treats his friends well and stuff like that, and he um is like putting people away, and he's not so like he's not like a he's just kind of doing his best, doing his job and whatever, and he's just a really clean cut guy. Then his wife dies, and then he is just destroyed by it. A strange package comes to your address. Open it. Sure, why not? It was empty. Oh, that's too bad. But yeah. God, what am I gonna call this film? Um, no, 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 no. All right. Flyers, I guess. Yeah, let's do Flyers. God, what is the movie title gonna be? Um, God, what is the God? The You can ultimately wash this away that she could quite possibly be a ghost that is haunting him, which I don't think I'm going to go in that direction. We could ultimately go with this in some kind of double jeopardy like situation, which I'm not going to go with that. To where, yeah, because there's got to be some big surprise at the end of this movie to where this guy really isn't all what he seems. To where the ending is going to be much more shocking than it really is. And I think once I do all the post production stuff, maybe I'm kind of coming up with an ending in my head, so I can probably tell you probably what the ending might be. But anyways, um let's go with the oh god, we can almost go with like the perfect man or the perfect but that's been done before, the perfect man. The the God, what can we call this? It would have to be something but a murder. Ooh, we can almost call this the one that got away. The one that got away. I think people have called that in a movie once, but let's go with the one. Yeah, the one that got away. Could we title this? Thank you. Or capitalize that? The one that got away. Yeah. So it's got to be like some kind of carpet looking thing. It's got to be a carpet looking thing. It's got to be like something that looks like a carpet. Because my idea. Come on, give me a carpet look. Sure, let's go with that. The one that got away. Ooh, what if we did this super gruesome? Man, we could do this super gruesome. We could do like what's in the box kind of thing. Oh my god, that would be so gruesome. Um and then what we could do is we could have like somebody being in a box. Like maybe they're moving. Ooh, maybe they're moving. Yeah. No, wait, then it would no. It probably wouldn't make sense then. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense. To what I have in mind. Wouldn't make sense. Believe me, it won't make sense. God. The one that got away. What the heck are we gonna? What visual thing are we gonna like do with that? Um, help me. I don't want bullets in there. That doesn't make any sense. Ooh. What if he finds her in the bathroom? Finds her in the bathroom and. Ooh, God, why can't you just give me the answer, game? Just give me the answer. We could give a marriage thing on there, and it would kind of be, the one that got away. Why can't we get away from trying to figure out what the heck to do for a visual for these? Why is it so complicated? Um, a sack of money? Yeah, that'll make sense. Uh, Ooh, we can do it as a balloon visual. To like the one that got away, usually balloons are metaphorically like that. Maybe he was coming home early for a party and found her dead. Yeah. And maybe it was his birthday. Maybe a lot of people were thinking, well, like, hey, happy birthday, buddy. And yeah, metaphorically, yeah, yeah, that works. That works. Okay. So here's to where I think I could end this story. Reasonably, this guy is the perfect man, but a lot of the times his wife is not happy. His wife, like they'll show later on in the movie that his wife is not happy. Like a lot of the times his wife will mention things that he does not remember. He doesn't remember saying, he doesn't remember doing, this and this and that. Like maybe he could brush it off as like, hey man, maybe I was just really tired. Like I've been working like there's sometimes he'll just be exhausted and like, dude, I've just been working like 15 hours straight. Or I've been working like a dog shift. Like I've just been working seemingly for days on end. Like holidays are really high, really expensive, or really like busy and stuff like that. I've just been working to the grindstone, and she doesn't have a job and what have you. But what ends up happening is that to easily tell you what all goes on is that this guy ends up just starts taking medication. ends up just taking stuff to stay awake. And more and more and more, he just becomes this angry like person. And then looking back on it, he just becomes this more and more vicious person when he finally realizes what has all happened. That, like, ultimately, when he starts realizing that he, like, has forgotten a lot of things and it all comes back to him once seeing this girl again, seeing his wife again, because it's been a very long time, he realizes that, yeah, he never really treated her that good. He never really treated her as good as, and people have to give him visual proof, like, like stuff where he, um, was on camera doing things and whatever, and it finds out that this guy is way much more vicious than he thought he was, because long hours, just a long day, and whatever, and it ends up being that at the end of this girl was just like God, like I thought he was gonna kill me one day. Like I thought he was gonna come home. And I thought he was gonna kill me. Like I don't know, just it just seems like he has been over the years just more and more of this vicious person than I thought he was, when we first got married. And it all comes from a side effect of just, um, being so tired you don't even realize it. Being so, uh, having so much medication to keep yourself awake that you black things out, or maybe that you drink a little too much or whatever, and because it's like, yeah, I've just celebrated working 7 days in a row and this and that, and it ends up that this woman, fakes her own death to get away from her husband. And so eventually he comes to eventually this realization, comes to her and says that, like, okay, I realize my faults. I realize what wrong I did. And I'm sorry if I didn't read the comments or whatever. But then eventually, but he still, he still is like, but could we still be together? Like, I need you. Like, I want you. And he starts grabbing her, and she's like, no. And then it gets to a point where someone has to die. Somebody has to die towards the end of this movie, and someone does. And then someone moves on with their life. Um, like, yeah, that's probably my yeah, it's kind of like I made this person out to be a really good person, this detective and what have you. But eventually, what we don't realize when we get so tired, what we don't realize when we get so, consumed with work or whatever, and then we bring it home or this and this and that, um, ends up making another person realize, God, like this person just became all consuming. And like I didn't know if this guy was gonna walk home one day and end me, end himself, end it all, ended this, and this guy didn't even realize it because he was so just like all consumed. And so like at the end of the day, he was still consumed with her, and he still wanted her, um and at first you think this is going to be a nice neat little ending, but it still doesn't end that way. It still doesn't. Like when she eventually comes clean and says, yes, I escaped from you and this and that, eventually still, there's that guy that is still there, that still wants her and still just like can't live without her, so he grabs her and wants her, and he's like, "Stay with me." It's like, "Stay with me," kind of thing, and yeah, it ends up somebody ends up getting murdered. Somebody ends up getting killed, and yeah, ultimately, that's what ends up happening. So yeah, I don't know. That was the thing I did once for a movie, I guess. That was the decisions that I made to do a film about what happens when somebody gets too tired. What happens when someone gets like is a much more vicious person than they realize, and what have you. So yeah, because like especially like once it's getting holiday season right now, with a lot of people that are just like, oh my god, like I'm getting just like so overwhelmed and so over this and so over that. You can almost like kind of put this into anything instead of it being just a person that's a detective. You can make this be a retail person that has been overworked for I don't know how long, and again, woman dead in the in the tub or wherever it ends up being, and that's the story. But anyways, what is the name of the character? Ha ha. Uh, Nike shoes. The main character is gonna be called Nike shoes. Um, Adam made Adam Murder. What if somebody's name was Mr. Murder? Oh my god, that what oh I think I should call Miss Murder. Yeah, since it's a girl, we're gonna call her Miss Murder. Yeah, Miss Murder. Miss Murder. Miss Murder. Couldn't you just call me Kate? No, that's your name, Miss Murder. Yeah, we're gonna call her Miss Murder. Yeah. What in this movie in this movie will probably have absolutely nothing to do with murder, but it'll just be like, yeah, she's a murderer. Why? Because her name is that. A waitress in the New York cafe named Miss Murder once saved a dog. Okay, great for her. Who turns out to be the enchanted prince. Yeah, no. No. I'm not having a transforming animal happen in my movie. When the Grace family moves to an old house on the outskirts, strange things begin to happen. Things to trying to understand what's wrong. Miss Murder discovers Alex Spiderwick's diary. Oh god, not Spiderwick. I think I just recently saw that movie, and the Spiderwick Chronicles wasn't that great. Wasn't that good. For many years, Mr. Mitchum amused the local kids with the fairy tale of fierce dragons dwelling in the north, deep in the woods. For his daughter, named Miss Murder, all these stories seemed nothing more than fiction. Exactly until she met a little boy named Git in the forest, who has been living in the wild forest for a long time. He has no home or family. But he has a wonderful friend, a huge green dragon Cake. Is the dragon named Cake, or what? What is? Is it a dragon cake? Miss Murder decides to unravel the story of the young Gita to learn the whole truth about his family and his mysterious dragon, about which these are so many rumors and legends. Well, this script is good anyways, so F that. So is this. So is this. Wonderful. An epic adventure takes place both on our planet Earth and in the kingdom of gods of Asgard. Wait, is this Thor? In the center of the story is Miss Murder, a strong but arrogant warrior, yeah, whose ruthless actions revive an ancient god in Asgard. The protagonist is sent into the exile to the Earth. Yeah, this is the first Thor movie. Anyways, it's the first Thor movie bringing down, coming down. You know what I'm saying? For many years, yeah, I just read this story. When the Grace family moves to the house of, I just read this. A 12-year-old Miss Murder sets off on an amusing journey to the North Pole to rescue his kidnapped friend. Northern witches led by the beautiful, whatever the heck that name is, and a huge armored bear. Oh, is this the Golden Compass? Comes to help the girl. On their way are the sinister Mrs. Coulter and the army of her monsters. Let's go with this silly thing of North Pole, but we're gonna add some stuff. Um, okay, a 12-year-old Miss Murder sets off on an adventure, on an amazing journey to the North Pole. Cause yeah, every 12-year-old can just find the North Pole, right? It's just an easy breezy, just jaunt away. If you know what I'm saying. Sent to the journey to the North Pole to rescue his, it should be her, her kidnapped friend. Ultimately, let's go with this silly story. Her kidnapped to rescue her kidnapped. Where did the friend part go? I'm fine with that. I'm just yeah, I just gotta let's period all that biz up there. Let's period the let's just period it down here then. Let's just period that up then. I don't want to keep saying period because that sounds weird. Anyways, ultimately to find out that the North Pole of all places, North Pole, is not what it seems. Not what. Whoops. Not what it seems. Uh. Seemingly, what would be elves are kids, normal everyday kids, um, who are handcuffed. We're gonna go wild in this story. Handcuffed um, to make presents. What those presents are? You don't want to know. You really don't want to know. You just don't. You just don't want to know what they are. They will say what they are in the movie, but you just don't want to know. You really don't want to know what they are. Um the Santa who is controlling what goes on is not quite familiar. Besides the hat and coat. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do here is we're going to have a Santa. We're gonna have a Santa here that is some kind of alternate dimensioned Santa. No, he's not gonna be in. He's gonna be like. If anything, he is going to very much change the way North Pole is. What ended up happening was he ended up taking these. He ended up taking these people from the North Pole and he ended up obliterating them. He ended up obliterating them because they're so good-hearted people, and he was not. Everyone in the North Pole was killed. We'll just say that, I guess. Murder, yeah. And then eventually, this Santa from an alternate world just started taking control of this North Pole. Ultimately, unleashing presence in a kind of weaponized like form. Maybe quite pause me if this story might sound familiar somewhere. Maybe from a Nightmare on Elm or Nightmare on the Nightmare Before Christmas. This might quasi sound familiar, but we're doing it in a live action sense. Quasi somewhat similar. But yeah. This guy, this Santa, we end up having to wear. We end up more and more having this young kid. While Santa's back is turned, she's kind of rescuing these kids because Santa did not know that she was there. Um, Recently, ultimately, maybe she should have a much older kid with her because reasons. So yeah, a 12-year-old murder, Miss Murder, and a older brother sidekick. Maybe the older brother saw what happened and what have you. So yeah, let's kind of go with the hocus pocus way of doing things. We have a young girl and an older brother, but the younger girl is the main character here. She's kind of doing much more of the leg work because she's smaller. Eventually, we have it to where the older brother, once they find out what all is going to happen, because his older brother comes home from Christmas to find out that his brother got kidnapped by questionable Santa, and so they end up going to the North Pole because again, that's just the easiest place that you can go to and what have you. Maybe there's some kind of ripple in the sky somewhere. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out when we care to get to figure that out. Um, in the actual movie, if we actually do this thing, what ends up happening is we end up rescuing all these kids, and then eventually the older brother tries to fight the Santa, whatever this bizarre Santa character is. Older brother ends up by some miraculous way defeating said Santa, and then he has to forcibly become the new Santa for the North Pole. He has to figure out where to find these elves, maybe get all the elf people that are left on the North Pole to start banging out some babies or something like that. Um, while they crazily come up with some kind of game plan for next Christmas. And maybe they have to figure out some way to deal with not having Santa giving them gifts on this Christmas, but the only gift that people are happy to get is their kids back because all their kids were missing. So, reasonably, I guess that's a good thing to, like, all their kids have been missing. Detectives don't know what's going on. Like, all these kids are missing. What the heck is going on? They've been missing for years now. We don't know what to do. And what have you. Yeah, yeah, let's go with that story. Even though it's very one, this is a good script or whatever. Still, 26-year-old person playing a 12-year-old. Sure, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, I guess we're just gonna have to go by acting quality rather than if the person actually looks 12 or not. And then somebody's gonna have to pull off being Santa as well. Somebody's gonna have to pull that off. Not that there's any wrong with a female Santa. Sure, let's go with that guy. That guy. That yeah. Let's. These people are going to be way older than they actually should be to defend the North Pole. Um, but I'd rather do a North Pole movie that has some kind of quasi creepy vibe. So what the heck are we even gonna call this movie? Um, we can go Kid Christmas. We can go Creepy Christmas. We could go to Kidnap Christmas. We could go. I don't like Kidnap Christmas because that is kind of I don't like that. We could go with alternate Santa Christmas, alternate Earth Christmas. We could go. How the f do you figure out how to get to the North Pole if you're not Santa? That is a trip. Um, the we could go with the Pole. We can call this movie The Pole, or call it Pole North. We could go. We can go with a classic. Kid Saves Christmas. That sounds so cheesy. But that's the usual title, like where they'd always have all those other goofy titles where Power Ranger saves Christmas, or and that's always the lame thing that they always went for years. I guess let's go with um, we could go with Not So North Pole. We can go with that. Not so North Pole because it's not for Christmas what you're used to hearing. Not so North Pole. God, why do these um God, why do these titles take so long? Um yeah, because like it's really annoying me how easy and convenient it is to just get to the North Pole. So let's go with Not So North Pole. Yeah, that's what we'll go. Not So North Pole. Because realistically, when they go to the North Pole, it's not really what the North Pole would usually represent. It's not. Oh, I guess I should do this with like white, to where everywhere you'd see it'd be like snow. Um, God, what are we gonna do for Christmas stuff? Is there any kind of? I don't know if there's any kind of actual like Christmas visuals that we can put on here. Huh. Yeah. What if we make a disco Santa? Oh my god, would that be funny? Just have like this Santa be just so obscurely bizarre. Um Iron Man saves Santa. Yeah, let's do that. Um God, what are we gonna do for visuals? I don't think anything's gonna work for this one. I don't think anything's gonna work. Not so North Pole. Alright, ooh, we can kind of do this and then edit it afterwards. Just be like to where it's we can do a lot of editing on this one, on that one. Um, yeah, this one's tough. You gotta put in a holiday thing without really making it seem like you're not putting in a holiday thing. Ooh, we can kind of go like really creepy on this one and have like a Santa hat on him. Not so North Pole. Making it evil Christmas movie. You can do some editing on this character and like put a Santa hat on him. Yeah, that could quasi work. That could quasi work. I don't want to do something where I'm gonna have to edit it though. I just want to kind of just. What if an elf just got ticked off one day of doing too much work? And then maybe just donned on the cape and or cape, donned on the coat and hat and just went ape. Santa Yoda or Santa Elf. Yeah. What if we're doing like an alternate Santa from an alternate, bizarrish? You know how many numerous hundreds of Santas are out there? That yeah, there's been numerous Santas that have just come through in like 100 different designs and different overseas Santas and what have you. But uh yeah, I think I'm gonna go with God, where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. But what I'm gonna do, and what you're gonna see on the thumbnail is I'm gonna edit this one. I'm gonna edit this heavily, probably, so that way I can justify it and just be like, okay, this picture is probably the before, when this guy was what he was, and then the after product of um so I'm going to do some editing. We're going to do some interesting editing on this one. And yeah, you're going to see a drastic change from probably the way this looks. But we're going to go with this one. But it's going to be a Santa from some other kind of culture, somewhere, something. And that'll make sense of what I'm doing. So, not so North Pole. All right, so let's read the comments of what people said about it. 54%. I'm not getting 60 anymore. Not a bad plot. The protagonist is a bit strange. Well, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. It's gonna be bizarre. By the way, the montage is not that bad. The script is pretty nice. How is it nice? Because it seems very gruesome. Alright, we kill the everyone in the North Pole. It doesn't sound good now, does it? No, but I think I'm gonna go here. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching this video because some of these stories are really off the chain. So, goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, everybody.